Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Woolly Thistle Shop Update. It's good to be here with you and I hope that you are doing well. It's been a couple of weeks since we chatted last, so I have plenty to share with you. I'm in the packing station spot here of the shop, and that's Chuku behind me there. And you can probably see there's a big stack of boxes there. That's all new yarn, replacement yarn to go in the shop. So I need to get to that. I'm a bit of a bottleneck right now. I'm my own bottleneck because, as you know, I'm the only one coming into the shop. So we'll get into all that, I'm sure. So I hope you're doing okay and not climbing the walls too much at home if you're stuck at home. I've even heard from people though, and I think my mum is included in this, where they don't consider it being stuck at home. It's an absolute joy to not be able to go anywhere. So, whatever your take on it is, I hope that you're doing okay and that you're staying safe and healthy. So thank you for watching this shop update. There'll be some blether and then stuff in the shop as usual. And to stay in touch with the Woolly Thistle, the best way is to join our mailing list so that you get the monthly newsletter and probably a couple of emails in addition to that, maybe not, but that's the best way to keep in touch with us and know what's happening in the shop. And you can do that right on the website at thewoollythistle.com, and remember 2 L's in woolly, that's the British spelling, and as I'm from Scotland, that's how I spell it. So yeah, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook as well. I'm trying to be a little bit more active there on Facebook. We'll see. We'll see. I really am most active on Instagram at the moment, and my email list as well. So what am I wearing today? You've seen this before. This is the vanilla sweater number 1 that I knitted out of Rauma Finullgarn, and you can see it's a 3/4 length sleeve, and I gave it just a very tiny hem. And the neckline is also a very tiny hem, and there's a split little hem here, and there's plenty of ease. And this yarn is very crispy to knit with, but as the wool ages it becomes softer and softer. And this is color 4128, and it's this lovely mauve on grey, very soft, kind of dark pink, dark purple, but not too purpley color. And it's a raglan sleeve, of course, as you know. You've seen this before. So I'm wearing this. This is my vanilla number 1, and you saw vanilla number 2 in the last shop update. And I'm currently working on vanilla sweater number 3. I'm using 4125 from the Rauma collection. That's pretty accurate for color. It's lovely. It's a kind of quite a bright, bold gold on this same grey yarn. And I've been Frankenpiecing this together because I want to release my recipe for this as soon as possible, but I did need to make sure my math added up properly, and it does. So this one has a lovely round neck. And I've already put the neckband on. So again, I'm using a very tiny neckband. It's got the lovely raglan shaping, and then just a few decreases down the arm, so that again it ends at a 3/4 length. Of course, you can adjust that and keep decreasing and knitting it longer if that's your want. And again, just a tiny little band there. So I've knit down as far as dividing the sleeves, and then I did continue on with the body. I've knit about 1 inch of the body beyond the sleeves. And you could even do this too. You can knit the sleeves before the body, and then you don't get stuck on Sleeve Island. This took me 1 day to knit with interruptions. So this is, if you're a dedicated and quick knitter stuck at home because of COVID, you're going to bang this out super fast, and then you'll want to knit more. like me. This is my third. So yeah, so here's the other sleeve that's on waste yarn waiting to be picked up. But I'm working on the body now because I want to decide what I'm doing around the bottom. As soon as that's decided, I will write the pattern up nicely for you and it will be available. And I told you last time that I was going to offer this as a free recipe pattern. It's for one size, which is a 48-inch finished circumference around the bust. I think I'm a 40-inch bust, so there's plenty of ease in this. So I think it would fit lots of different sized women because there's plenty of positive ease in there to fill it up or even be a little bit smaller. Not too much smaller, I don't think though. But you know, you decide. Yeah, so I'll write this up and you will be allowed to get the free pattern as a PDF, I think, if you purchase 6 balls of Rauma Finullgarn from me with the intention of knitting the recipe. And I was delighted to see that many of you have already made purchases and you've left notes when checking out that this is for the vanilla sweater. So you're on my list, and as soon as it's available I will be sending that out to you, so watch out. We'll send it to the email address that you had on your order. So I have, at time of recording this, I have actually got more Rauma Finullgarn. It's in those boxes back there to put in the shop. So by the time you're seeing this, we will have had an update of Rauma Finullgarn. And we recently had a Strickgarn update too. And I have to admit, I keep thinking one in DK weight would be really nice too. That would just take a little bit of fudging of the numbers. Anyway, we'll stick with the one we're starting with. I love this because it is lightweight and it's knitted at 5 stitches per inch or 20 over 4 inches. So those of you who have your Rauma already, you could be swatching right now. I used a US 6 for needles. So if you start with a US 6, and I generally knit my swatches over 32 stitches for some reason. But you know, it just needs to be 20. But I would give yourself a margin to see how big or small you come out. And I will usually, I think, start my swatch with just a ribbing, and then I will work in the round. And there is a way to cheat working in the round when you're swatching, so that you're not having to knit the whole thing. You do want to swatch in the round because you're going to be knitting in the round, and that whether you knit back and forth or in the round will change your gauge. So when you're swatching, do 2 or 3 rows of rib one by one, because that's what's on the sweater. So you'll you know, approximate that in your swatch too. And then what you do, if you don't know already, is you start a new row and you knit, and when you get to the end of that row, you sort of just pull a strand of yarn, the working strand, behind your hand and bring it back to the beginning. Knit and do that. Knit. So at the end you're bringing it back to the beginning. Isn't that kind of like a giant I cord of sorts? I'm not sure. So yes, it is, because you'll move your working swatch, your stitches, back to the beginning of the needle, and you'll bring the yarn from the end of the swatch to the beginning. So you'll end up with, you know, strands of loose yarn going from front to back, up the back, and on the knitting side you will have achieved your gauge swatch in the round. So that's very clever. I hope I explained that okay and that you understand. If you do have questions, just let us know. I actually learned that though years ago on a YouTube tutorial, so if you have any questions, I would recommend you do that first. Go to YouTube and search for swatching in the round, something like that, and you will come across it. Right, so for those of you who are ready to go, you could be doing that. You could be swatching and trying to achieve 5 stitches per inch or 20 stitches over 4 inches, and that will result in this exact size sweater that we're going for. I should also mention, if I haven't already, that this vanilla 1 and the grey one, which is my vanilla 2, were both knitted from Anne Budd's book, The Knitter's Handy Book of Top-Down Sweaters, which I've mentioned several times before. So I took her notes and created these 2 sweaters, and and have figured out how to change it up a little bit so that I can issue a recipe of my own, but it is still going to be a very vanilla sweater. You know, it's tempting to start adding design elements and fancy stuff like that, but really what we want is this very simple sweater. And actually, once you have this recipe and you like it, then you can start to add your own design elements by maybe changing up how you do the increases to make that look different from what I have. You can play with necklines and make them bigger or wider or V-necks. You can change the length of the sleeves. You can make them narrower or even more relaxed feeling. And you can change the length of the body. You can change it from a split hem to a regular hem without the split, and I did that on number 2. But I really like the split hem. And you can change whether the back is longer or shorter than the front as well, instead of them being both the same. So, and you can change the stitch. You don't have to do an all stockinette stitch. You can change it up and do cables or lace work. So it's endless and it's creative. But if you're like me, and I've heard a lot of you are feeling like me, you just want to knit the basics and very mindless meditative knitting, this will be very, very good for that. I definitely am not bored, even though I'm knitting my 3rd one. I'm just not bored with it. And I don't worry about sleeves. I actually like to do sleeves before I do the body typically, but when you're doing a top-down raglan, it feels, well, most patterns, and mine too, will tell you just to work on the body first, because it's easier to put the sleeves on waste yarn and pick them up later. But there's no reason why you couldn't pick up a sleeve first or do 2 at a time on 2 needles, so that when you decrease on this one, you then go knit this one and decrease it, and then this one and this one, kind of like knitting socks 2 at a time. Be done like that, and then you could pick up your body stitches and knit down your body. There's no waist shaping in this whatsoever, so there's nothing to think about there. It's just straight up and down. Of course you can do waist shaping like this, or you can make it more an A-line, which I like, to give it more of that kind of swingy feeling. And of course, the one thing I keep marveling at, knitting Rauma in this gauge on a US 6 means that you have a very, very drapey fabric. So it's not that springy, sucking in, you know, it's just lovely. It's just lovely. And, you know, these are my favorite things to wear. So the last time on the shop update, as is quite usual these days, is I gave away a $25 gift certificate to a lucky viewer who left a comment, subscribed, and gave us a thumbs up. And that winner wins a $25 gift certificate to the Woolly Thistle. And she said, I joined your rusty cardigan, Cal, 6 months after I learned to knit, so it was my first steek project. I used the medium grey Plotolopi. I immediately ordered more Plotolopi and knitted a second rusty cardigan holding the yarn double. I've been knitting lots of socks this past month and waiting for 52 weeks of socks to become available again. So Carrie Brown, you are the winner of a $25 gift certificate to the Woolly Thistle. Thank you, Carrie, for watching and leaving a comment. And yeah, you bring up the rusty cardigan. I will be talking about that because it received much love last time. And yes, you've been knitting a lot of socks and you're waiting for 52 weeks of socks to come in. So thank you very much for watching and congratulations on winning. We will do another $25 gift certificate this episode. So if you would like to be in the running for that, just make sure you're subscribed to our channel, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment below. I think we'll go right into what's in the shop right now. And 52 weeks of socks is back in the shop. Hopefully there's still some in there by the time you're seeing this. We had a huge pre-order, the 4th pre-order run just went out a week ago now by the time you're watching this. Actually, I think customers will just be receiving that, or will have received it this week. Yeah, there's just so much going on, even though. So yes, so we got those all out, and that involved taking books home and packing them at home. So all of the team were involved in that, and I could not have done it without them. So we owe them our thanks to being willing to work at home and disinfecting everything before and after. So this is a beautiful, beautiful book, and I did order more to have in the shop so that you could order it without it being on a pre-order. And this time it's not in the shop when I'm recording this, but it will have been in the shop this week by the time you see it, which means that I hope if you wanted it, you got it. These are beautiful patterns, and there's actually a pattern in here, I'll put it up here, knitted in John Arbon Exmoor sock yarn, which is fantastic, we stock that. And also tuku sock, there's 3 patterns in here that are tuku sock, and I believe Black or Mohair has a pattern in there too. So thank you very much for ordering your copies from the Woolly Thistle. We are very happy to be stocking that. And also with that last shipment, I had ordered all the Laine Magazines again because I was really low, if not out of everything. And the only one that's out of print now is number 5. So we don't have number 5, but we have everything 1 through 9 except number 5. So if you're interested in ordering your Laine Magazine at this point, completing your library, you can do that. And if you'd like to start your library, we do sell bundles of 3 so that you can get any choice you want and a little bit of a discount as well. So I'm not sure how much longer we'll be able to get Laine Magazine. I don't know what their reprint plans are, but we do have some now in the shop, which is great. Just want to remind you too that the Woolly Thistle has $99 free shipping, so take advantage of that. And I also wanted to mention the Buddy program, which has been a roaring success, and really, really feel good about that. A month ago, when we realized that we were going to have to stay at home as a country, we realized immediately that some knitters were going to feel isolated and lonely, and we wanted to try and stave that off. And we did that by creating the Knitting Buddy program, which initially started out with just trying to match 2 people together, but we since moved it to groups of 4 so that you can, mingle and get to know each other as a group. And I think that's working really, really well. If you're interested in participating, we're still open and taking names. The way to do that is to go to our Ravelry group and find the Knitting Buddy thread there. And there you will find a link to a form where you put in your information so that we have that to match you up. And Maggie is really in charge of doing those matches, and she's really thoughtful about it. She's trying to match people in the same geographical area. And locally if she can, if that comes up. But definitely she's trying to at least make it in the same time zone because this is a global thing. And we're really, really happy that you guys are using it. So yeah, that's good. The other thing that we started in the Ravelry group was a Stuck at Home thread where we are getting lots of wonderful suggestions for TV viewing, podcasts, audio and video, as well as like musical concerts that are being broadcast, opera, things like that, great audiobooks or books to read. So it's sort of a catch-all thread for what you want to, when you reach the end of Netflix, maybe, like, what are you going to do next? So check that out. Leave your favorite shows and things to listen or watch as well. Because there's a lot of gold in there, and there's probably stuff you have not come across. Although all the we definitely, I think, have a theme of British murder mystery stuff, because that's definitely my jam too, and lots and lots of recommendations for Broadchurch and things like that. But there are other things too. I have a couple to go in and put in as well, because they just came. I'll tell you. One of them is Happy Valley. That's been on Netflix for a long time. It stars Sarah Lancaster, who is an English actress that I remember when she was really young, and I was really young back home. She's now, I think she's a little bit older than me. She's in her early 50s, I think. Anyway, she's in Last Tango in Halifax. She's the school headmistress. Anyway, so in Happy Valley, she is a police officer, and oh my gosh, what a different character it is. It's brilliant. The storyline goes over, I think, 2 different seasons. I would highly recommend that. I mean, it's definitely gritty, so if you're not into that, then don't, but if you like that, I would definitely watch it. Another really good TV series is, what's it called? Line of Duty. Have you seen that one? Oh my gosh, the first, second, and maybe even the third season was phenomenal. Yeah, really, really good. Don't know who's doing what. Keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time. Right, so yeah, and actually in Line of Duty, the young policeman, the sort of star of the show, he's from Greenock, which is right down the road from where I grew up. But you wouldn't know it, he's got this very English accent in it. But there you go. So anyway, let's see. So I was telling you about that. Yes, I told you about 52 Weeks of Socks, and the magazines are back. And we do have a few by hand 11s, which is the Vermont and New Hampshire edition, back in the shop. So those are available for a time. Their next issue is coming out of London, and they will be knitting with lots of lovely British stuff, some of which I'll have, hopefully. So we're working on that, but I will be stocking that magazine for sure. I love that magazine. And what else? Sadly, Shetland Wool Week 2020, and maybe even, no, I keep saying that. Shetland Wool Week 2019 is the last annual that they put out. So that one, and I think I only have a couple of 2017s left in the shop, so most of them are sold out. And until they get a handle on COVID and what they're doing, with coming back to work and all that, we will not be restocking that until they are able to supply us. So unfortunately there's a bit of a hold on that. I might as well mention too at the same time, that's the story with Marie Wallen. Her warehouse has shut down due to COVID, and so I was just looking at stocks before I came on, and we are completely out of all her books, except right now I have 11 copies of Shetland left, but those won't last a minute. That book continues to sell amazingly well. And I think I've got a couple of her Once Upon a Time books, which is a children's collection. Oh, Marie Wallen, if you don't know, has started her own Instagram live show, and I believe she's saving it. She's just done 2, and the second one is saved on Instagram. So definitely go check out Marie. She's lovely and a wealth of knowledge, obviously. So if you haven't caught that, be sure to go over to Instagram, to her feed, and it's probably in her highlights is where you'll find it. But yeah, she's been recording live the last couple of weeks, which is just brilliant. Talking of that, I am thinking that I will try and go live on YouTube here in between my shop updates, just perhaps to touch base, let you know what's happening, what's coming down the pike, that sort of thing, and just, you know, to keep the content up for everybody who is stuck at home. So we'll be doing that, I think. There's no schedule for that. We'll just see how it goes. I hope it goes. I'm really scared of doing this live because I feel like I'm a mouth that needs editing. But we'll see how that goes. All right, what else do we have? Making Stories Magazine 3 has been selling really, really well. This is a lovely magazine. This is the 3rd issue. And we also have 2 in 1 here. So this was issue 2. Just look at that sweater. And the first issue. So 1, 2, and 3 are now available. And in this 3rd issue, we have that beautiful unfolding shawl that got a lot of love when I showed it off. There's a picture of it. And this is knitted in Garthanor number 1, which we now stock here at the Woolly Thistle, and thank you so much for its lovely warm welcome. We actually had a little snafu getting that online too, so sorry if you weren't privy to it going live when it did, but it did eventually get in the shop. I was I was being a bottleneck, so that actually just happened and did really well. We have number 1, which is their lace weight. Number 2 is their 4-ply sport weight, and then we went up to number 4, which is their worsted / Aran weight, and then we have some chunky. And this, I showed it to you in the last show, so go back and look at that if you want to see details. But we have everything from Shetland yarn, Hebridean, Castle Milk Murret, Jacob, North Ronaldsay, which is an Orkney island. I really want to go to the Orkneys again when I go home next time. And that's the thing, I have to say my imagination is going wild because I literally am not allowed to go home. I can't go home, so that makes me really pine for all the things that I say I'm going to get to but never quite get around to. I have been to Orkney. I've been to Kirkwall, which is the capital there, or Kirkwall. I think it's called Kirkwall though. Not sure. If you're from there, how do you pronounce it? I'm thinking of you, Louise. How would you say Kirkwall or Kirkwall? Louise lives on Orkney and she has a sheep farm, and I was hanging out with her when I was at Edinburgh Yarn Festival last time. She's a friend of Sarah Hunt's, who is Fibre Trek, and we shared an apartment with lots of other lovely people too. So anyway, Orkney, and I went and stayed as well on the island of, holy cow, now I don't remember. It doesn't matter to say that it's got a lighthouse on it, they all do. Anyway, we ended up, when we went up there, we got a lovely ferry from up, I think Wick or somewhere, over to the Orkneys, and then we had to get another wee ferry that also brought the mail from the mainland island to where we went to. Now I'm not going to remember that forever. I'll have to check that out. But anyway, so yes, I am dying to go up to the Orkneys. They have beautiful, beautiful beaches. Kirkwall is a lovely wee town that has little back roads with cafes in it and things like that. And a lovely old cathedral where they have free music performances too. I remember catching that when we were there. Yeah, and you know, I really have missed being in Edinburgh because we just had that happen in March, or we would have had that happen. I do think 2021 is going to see Edinburgh Yarn Festival happening though, so I'm keeping my eyes open for that. Sad news is that Shetland Wool Week this year has been cancelled. And also other sad news I learned recently is that Loch Ness Knit Fest is no more. It just couldn't get off the ground, I think, with sponsorship. So yeah, things are going to be a bit patchy for a while, but it is good to see other things coming up online. I saw Vogue Knitting Live is doing a virtual event, I think in New York City, or you know, based out of New York, I think. Misinformation here. So anyway, we are all adapting to this new normal that we keep hearing about, and the Woolly Thistle has had to adapt so much, so quickly, sometimes changing plans within the same day. Going in the morning thinking, okay, this week's going to look like this, and by the end of Monday you've had 3 different iterations of what this week's going to look like, and you don't know if it's even going to make it to the end of the week that way. But the good news is that we are adapting, and I recently sent out an email, you might have got it, where I shared that we had a staff meeting via Zoom, thank God for Zoom, and we were able to come up with other tasks that people could do at home, which was more creative, on the creative side of things, you know, things like writing blog posts or doing a remote inventory for me. I mean, that's a thing now. Things like that. Also, what else did we come up with? Yeah, Facebook ads, because someone can do those. You know, all kinds of different things that people can help out at the shop here, but without coming into the shop. And so they are doing a lot more creative work now, and I am here packing your orders. Thankfully, Tina is doing the printing of the orders, which does save a lot of time for me when I get in here. So I'm packing your orders. I know I don't do as nice a job as my girls. My girls are very good with the tissue paper and all that loveliness. And also the time of the year now is that we are not doing our Ghirardelli chocolates anymore because we don't want them getting melty in your package, because some places are getting warmer now. But those will be back in the fall. We definitely start that as soon as we feel comfortable that the temps are low enough, and we always do that through the winter. I do have some seeds left, and when I get my son to fill them up, the little packets, we will pop them in here or there as a little treat for you, but it'll be unannounced and random until those run out. We don't have a whole lot left, but we have some, and those of course are my seeds from my garden. Let's see, I have a picture, you might have seen this right here, sorry, there we go. So it's this black hollyhock seed, though this year the seeds also include a pink hollyhock as well. They're just all mixed in together, so it'll be interesting to see what you get when you get yours. Getting creative, I'm here packing. I don't do as nice a job, I know that, but I actually have a lot to get done, so being correct and accurate is definitely top of mind, and being timely. We are now only going to the post office once a week to deliver packages there, because that is a high traffic area and we want to avoid passing any germs around, so we have reduced our trips there to just once a week, and that's fine. But it does mean that your package might be a little bit delayed, but I just know for sure that you understand that and that that's reasonable. So thank you for that, for letting us sort of reduce our exposure, and our exposure to others potentially too. Okay, so what else do we have going on? Yes, so Rauma Finullgarn I mentioned, and the Strickgarn have both been topped up. Those went in this week, so if there's a color you're looking for, we should have it. Yeah, it's gorgeous yarn. So you need 6 balls for the vanilla sweater, and if you, when you're checking out, make a note in the comment box that this is for a vanilla sweater, then we will add you to our list, and as soon as the sweater recipe is done, we'll ship that out to you. I am hoping to have it done in the next week or two. I know you guys are waiting patiently for it, and you would like to be knitting it during this epidemic or pandemic, and I'm trying to get it done as quickly as possible so that you can do that. But just know that I'm having to do a lot of other things too. But I am working on it every single day. And then I've got to turn my chicken scratch notes into something you guys will understand. And I am working on that as it's being done. But I will want to just make sure that everything is tickety-boo before I send it out to you. So that is coming, but you can get started swatching like I talked about. So yes, we had Rauma Finullgarn and Strickgarn come in. We had more Jamison and Smith come in by the time you see this. We are low on some neutral colors in balls like 202 and 81. And that's because they are now running low on those being made at the mill. So yeah, but we have cones come in. So I hate to say they've probably gone out by the time you see this, but it's definitely worth checking. But if you get a notice from me that you were waiting for this cone color and it's in, please rush over there so that you don't miss out. And I apologize if you do. But we'll get more in as soon as we can. Yeah, and we had a huge, biggest ever update of Frangipani, multiple cones of multiple colors, so it's the biggest update we've ever had, and it's been selling really well too. So if you're looking for a color that we only have 1 cone of, or we're out of stock, send us an email and we will, if you can, click the notify me button. So if we have 0 in stock of the color you want, you can click on the notify me button, leave your email there, and we will email you as soon as more goes in. It becomes tricky though if we only have 1 cone and you need 2, then the notify me will not activate because it needs to be out of stock. So in that case, just send us a quick email to info@thewoollythistle, tell us what you need, and we will let you know when that order comes in. We have a nice ongoing ordering with Frangipani, and it never really takes that long to get here. So that's really good. So let us know if you need any assistance with that. We had a huge update from Tuku in both fingering and sock yarn because that stuff right here sold really well during our sale a month ago back in March. Such a long time ago now. Yeah, and so we're all completely replenished in everything that we were able to get from them. So that's good. And what else? Yes, Lopi. That I just did a big update, and there's boxes back there full of that. So that'll be going in. It will have gone in by the time you see this. And I got plenty of the black and the cream for the rusty cardigan. So I'm going to put a picture up here of the Rusty. I was wearing it last episode, and this is a Plotolopi free pattern on Ravelry, and is a gorgeous steeked cardigan with a beautiful yoke. So it's a yoked cardigan knitted in the round and steeked with color work knitted in Plotolopi. So all kinds of fun and interesting things happening in that one garment. And yes, it is mindless knitting itself until you get to the color work, when you have to, you know, work with 2 colors and do some decreases, but that's fine. We did do a Rusty Cal many months ago now, which you can find in our Ravelry group. There was tons of chatter and questions, and people assisting each other in that thread. So if you have a question about it, I would recommend you go and have a look at that thread and just get a sense for it. It was quite intimidating to a lot of knitters to be knitting with Plotolopi and to be knitting a steeked garment that is bottom up. So you start round the bottom and you knit up. And I believe it gave the hip circumference as the measurement. There's no shaping as you go up. So the hip circumference and your bust measurement will be the same. Lots of people got caught out with that. They didn't understand that and didn't know what size they were going to knit. So the hip circumference is the same as the bust circumference in this pattern, because it's a straight up and down tube or tube. And so just know that if that is something that would get you scratching your head. And I'm going to, and I might have already put up kits, because there was a lot of love for that sweater that I was wearing. And yes, I'm glad you liked the whole little tip about putting the button in the widest part too. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So yes, we have kits now in the black and the white, just like the one I was wearing. And I believe it comes in a small, medium, and large. And I think there's an extra small that also fits in with the small, and the medium and large is the same amount of yarn. And then I think you have extra large, which is another bigger size. So those will be in the shop if you're interested. Knitting with Plotolopi is nothing to be scared about. It's an experience to be enjoyed, and I've done it a few times. I've knitted 2 Rusty cardigans. And what else have I knitted in Plotolopi? Oh, the Aito Shawl. Yes. So nothing to be scared about. This yarn is an unspun yarn, so it breaks apart very easily, very easily. So if you tug on it off the plate, it's going to break. Or like, usually I have a button on or something and it gets caught in the button and I pull it and it breaks apart. But there's no need to freak out. All you need to do is overlay it like this, hold it together, and keep knitting. So what else do I have going on? Okay, Kep news, Katie's Kep. I was full of confessions last time about how I was dropping the ball all over the place, and one of those things was Katie's Kep, which is a design by Wilma Malcolmson, who is this year's, and I believe next year's, Shetland Wool Week patron. And so we have now got kits in for Jamison Smith colorways in her Kep kit. And Exmoor sock yarn has gone back in the shop too. If it hasn't, it will be. So, listen up. If you have left a notify me email on the product page of the shop, you will have received an email telling you that it's back in the shop whenever I put it in. So there's 13 beautiful colors in this yarn. It is a sock yarn from John Arbon. And it's been around a long time, but it's definitely been reworked. It's a totally different yarn than I remember from before. The colors and the label are to die for. This makes me want to start journaling in the worst way, is some of these labels. Just to even collect my labels, I need a journal. I need to start that because I need to do something else. But actually, while you're at home, that might be a really nice project to do, is to collect and document the different yarns. You could do your own breed study, you could do your own blend study, you could do your own color studies. We're coming into spring now, and you could be doing maybe a little dyeing outside of your own. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Yes, I like to do things in my head more than actually doing them. I have done some natural dyeing at home myself, and I am the queen of beige. Lots of beige. I'm not very good at dyeing anything else. I'm not a good dyer, but that's okay. Lots of you are. and that, you know, that's wonderful. So anyway, okay, so and then we had Garthenor go in, and we do have some of that left for now. I'm getting more Daughter of a Shepherd in. Her broom in the 4-ply sold really well, so we're getting more of that in, along with her worsted weight ram jam. More of that's coming in too. That is such a gorgeous yarn, and another great label as well. Yeah, so I just want to jump back to Exmoor sock yarn. I was saying Drumble, which is that lovely golden yellow, and Whortleberry, which is a dark bluish color. Both of those will not be replenished at this time because John Arbon was out of them, but you know, we will get more, and they will be here at some point. But so that leaves you with 11 colors and lots of them, so please feel free to stock up on those. There is a pattern in 52 weeks of socks, but I think I showed you that already, knitted with this yarn, and it's superwash, partial superwash yarn, so you're going to be able to throw these in the washing machine, which for me is really important in my sock yarn, I have to admit. And it has nylon for strength, which is also important. Most of my socks I knitted probably a good 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm still wearing them every day, but I am starting to see little holes peek through here or there. But I wear my socks hard. I wear them, you know, actually 2 or 3 times before I wash them, because they don't need washing, because my feet don't stink. And because they're wool and they are antibacterial and all of that, they're really good for your feet. So I am hard on my socks. I wear them a lot, and I wear them every single day, and I wash them in the washing machine. I hang them up to dry on a little clothes horse, and that's it. So I like it when yarns for socks are washable in the washing machine and also have nylon. So the Exmoor sock yarn has 10% nylon. Quite often you have 20% nylon, so I'm not sure if that is how that changes things in terms of strength, but it has nylon in it at least, so that's good. And it also has a percentage of superwash yarn, which includes the Exmoor Blueface and Corriedale, and I think the Corriedale gives it a really nice soft hand. It's a gorgeous yarn, and I can't wait to start knitting my socks with it. I picked out the color that's very similar to this. I forget what it's called though. Anywho, so there's that, and Garthenor, and I do have a little tiny bit of Marie Wallen British Breeds yarn going in this week. Hopefully, I've just got a lot to get in this week, and I know that this episode's going to come out after the fact. So maybe what I'll try and do is pop up some live YouTubes just to let you know when things are going in, something like that. No promises. I'm going to do the best I can. I think on your end, you know, when you hear that it's going in, you just need to get on it if you want it. Marie Wallen is shut down for now in terms of her production and distribution, so what yarn I do have will go in, and that will be it until things settle down and she is back up and running again. Well friends, I think that's all I have for you right now. I hope that you do keep knitting, and I would love to see what you're knitting, so be sure to tag the Woolly Thistle on your Instagram posts when you are posting to Instagram. Would love to see that. And we do have a finished object thread too in the Ravelry group if that interests you. We are almost at 3,000 members in the Ravelry group. That's amazing. So do join us if you would like to. Check out our chat threads. We have a lovely active group there, and you're very welcome to join us. Right, I think that's all I have for you this time. I am now going to edit this a little bit and then get it off to my actual editor, and then I'm going to work on those boxes to receive all that yarn that's there, and then I think I'm going to go home and I'm going to get back to knitting the body of this and writing up some recipe pattern. So I have a lovely day ahead of me, and I hope you do too. Take care, thanks for watching, and don't go out, but take your knitting wherever you go, and we will see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.